Bonjour, hello, hi, year 10, it's Mr. Carver here. I hope you're all well and all that kind of stuff. Today's lesson's obviously going to be via this video. You should have your usual drill of whiteboard, cloth and pen. You should have your book, and I'm fairly certain that that's it. Oh, and a glue if you need one, because there's a couple of bits and pieces to stick in. So if you haven't got all that sorted, your teacher can just pause the video for now, and you can get sorted in a moment, and we can continue. Brilliant. So you should be used to the drill of Smart Task. This is a little bit different. There's quite a lot of stuff here and it's all mixed in. There's some things that you know quite well from the last couple of lessons. There's things that you may know from in the past, number 7 for example, and there's new things as well that you will need to go away and learn. We are going to do like a proper vocab test on this, so you need to be practicing it in your own time as well as homework. So this is just an opportunity to have a look, see what you know, and then obviously try and work on the things that you need to focus on before we do a test on it. So if your teacher can pause the video now for a few minutes, have a go at your answers on your whiteboard, and we'll check answers in a moment. Excellent. So we're going to whiz through answers really quickly on here. So just in order, number 1 is going to be college. So as in like Durham Sixth Form or EDC or anything like that. La formation is training. So you might do training to be an electrician or a hairdresser or anything like that. J'en ai marre de, I'm going to assume that we know pretty well, so I'm just going to tick it off. It means I'm sick of or fed up of or you've had enough of. Same thing for les notes. That means grades or qualifications. We've seen that quite a lot. It never ever means notes. Okay, number 5, le bac. I'm going to explain this rather than write anything down. We have seen this a couple of times, so you may have remembered. Le bac is the French equivalent of whatever qualification you do after we finish school. So A levels or a BTEC or any kind of college level course, le bac, and it's called le baccalauréat. Malgré, we saw this a couple of lessons ago. It was in spite of or despite. My writing's usually good on this thing, but it's not very good today. So yeah, in spite of. Number 7, une perte de temps is a waste of time. You've probably seen that before. It's actually one of the adjectives on the cupboard doors, one of the negative ones, une perte de temps. Aller à la fac, we know that really well, to go to uni. Passer un examen, we've seen this definitely, but we need to have a little bit of a warning with passer, because passer doesn't mean to pass, it means to sit or to take or an exam, to sit or to take an exam. Right, another really crazy false friend. Actuellement looks like actually, in the same thing as, words like extrêmement or absolument, but it doesn't mean actually, it means at the moment. Yeah, so at the moment, I'm going to just put at the mot because it'll fit in. So actuellement means at the moment. Sauf, we saw this a couple of lessons ago, it means except. Échouer is to fail. Les diplômes, we know that as qualifications. Tout de suite means straight away. Little phrase here from a while ago. J'irai, I would go. So you could say j'irai à la fac, I would go to uni, or j'irai au lycée, I would go to college, but I've not got the grades, or something like that. Travailler means to work, it never means to travel. Éprouvant, we've seen that means challenging. J'ai décidé de, for number 18, I have decided to. À l'étranger means abroad, and then réussir means to succeed. Excellent. Right, lovely stuff. So just check your answers. If you need to take a pause, that's great. You can wipe your whiteboards and we'll move on with the rest of the lesson. Another mouthful of tea. So objectives today are 2 things. There's going to be lots of new language. I've got a new vocab sheet for you to do with jobs, specifically jobs. And we're going to do lots and lots of listening, but actually it's quite a nice listen, it's quite straightforward, so I don't think it'll take you too much. So new language, lots of new vocab, and we're going to do lots and lots of listening to get used to hearing words in context. Brilliant, so you should have this vocab sheet that your teacher can give out to you now. This needs to get stuck in with the rest of your vocab sheets, and all I want you to do is fill it in, really. So the English is here. Your teacher can leave it on the board. There's a few copies printed out if you can't quite see the board. But yeah, a few minutes on that, five minutes or so, just to fill in the English, and then we'll move on. Wonderful. So this is some extra vocab that comes up throughout the lesson today. So it's going to come up particularly in the listening that we're going to do. And as usual, this is just to warm you up to that vocab so that you've seen it, that you've got a bit of an idea of what it means, and that when it does appear, you're a little bit more confident with what it is. So a couple of minutes, if your teacher can pause the video now. You're on a whiteboard, number and letter, that's all that you need to do. So if you think that number 4 is going to be D, then you're just going to write 4D. Okay, so a couple of minutes and then we'll check answers. Great, so I'm just going to do these in order because there's no point in doing them any differently. I know that in real life we do them jumbled up. So la nourriture is food, so give that L. L'informatique, we've seen this a couple of times, it means IT, so ICT. The I in ICT is information, and we've got informatique, information communication technology. Number 3, les clients. We saw this a while ago as well. It means customers, so your clients are your customers, les clients. J'apprécie. J'apprécie, obviously I appreciate. Aider ends in ER, so it's got to be to something, and it's going to be to help, as in first aid and things like that. This is probably the weirdest one on the whole thing, les achats. Les achats. You might remember that acheter means to buy. So if you buy something, you make a purchase. Le commerce is going to be business. Look, you probably thought of words like commercial, things like that. Réussir, again, it ends in IR, so it's got to be a verb. We had it on the smart. It means to succeed, so that's D. Dur, we've seen this a couple of times as well. It's an adjective. It means hard, as in durable. If something's durable, it's really hard and tough and it'll last. Quel dommage, you could have even just worked that out from the exclamation mark. What a shame. Quel dommage. Really important word here, so actually if you don't take anything else, number 11 is really important, really across all of French. Des gens is going to be people, literally some people, so that's E. And then un travail is going to be K, and that just comes from travailler, so it's a noun that comes from travailler. So have a quick check of those, and we shall move on. Okay, this is quite an easy reading task. Again, we're just warming up. What I want you to think of here, it's fairly straightforward. I can letter these actually to speed up. So we've got A, B, C, D, E and F. So we've got some job names, so the actual names of jobs. A isn't on your list actually, but I'm going to leave it to you, see if you can work it out. The others are either on your list, you've seen them before, or you can just work out what they are. We've got 6 little statements here about actually where these people work. So one of the things that we're building up to today is that a lot of the time in GCSE French, and it's really frustrating, they don't just give you the word. So if in the listening and the reading exam, if for example it says something like, what is so-and-so's job? And then the actual thing that you have to read or listen to is very rarely going to say, he is a teacher. It's going to say, he works in a school. Or it's going to say she works in a hospital, or it's going to say, as we've got here, like I work in a garage or anything like that. So they're not going to directly give you the type of thing that is being described. And that's one of the skills that we need to develop, is getting used to and being prepared for things just not being given up to on a plate. It's really, really rare that happens. And if it does happen, it's honestly like 1 or 2 questions. So what I want you to do here is have a look and think. We've got these 6 jobs, and these 6 little sentences, 1 to 6 there, describe where the person actually works. And you need to make a decision over what you think it is. So if your teacher can pause for a second, you can talk about it in partners, a couple of minutes, write your answers on your whiteboard, just again, number and letter, and we'll go through them in a moment. Wonderful. So We are just going to start at number 1. So we've got je travaille dans un hôpital. So all of them start with je travaille, I work. So je travaille dans un hôpital, and that has got to be be. We saw a couple of lessons ago infirmier and infirmière means nurse. So obviously working in a hospital. Number 2 is quite tricky. Je travaille dans un lycée. So we know a lycée is a college. Now we've got professeur and we've also got instituteur. So there are 2 options. In this case, professeur is going to be the type of person who works in a school like ours or a college. So I'm professeur. This one's really, really hard actually. So je travaille à la campagne. À la campagne. So hopefully you've remembered that la campagne means countryside. And for this we've got a fermier, which means a farmer. Fermier. I work in the countryside. That was a hard one. Okay, je travaille dans un bureau. We might not know this word. I've actually coincidentally just been doing it with year 9. And bureau means an office. And it's going to be a secretary. Don't really use the word secretary anymore. More like an administration person. Je travaille dans un garage. Obviously, un mécanicienne. And then 6 is going to be E. And instituteur. So there's 2 words for teacher. And generally, this word instituteur is used, or institutrice if it's a woman, is going to be used in a primary school, just to talk about a primary school teacher. Okay, so that's what you should have. I'm sure you've done an excellent job because you're all brilliant, and we'll move on to the next task. So you should have this as a little handout. This is exam technique actually, if nothing else. So in the exam, I'm sure you know this, listening exam, you get 5 minutes to read through the paper and make notes on the questions, and we get told every year the people who make more notes on the exam are the people who do a better job, who score higher marks, and all of that kind of thing. So you really need to make use of that time in the exam. Just to really scroll on very quickly, you've got something, well, what would I expect to hear? I probably haven't talked to you about this, but when you're listening to something in any language, your brain follows three little steps. I'm going to squeeze them on here, actually, because I've just thought of it. The first step in your brain is a prediction. So even in English, even in this moment now, you are making a really fast split-second prediction about what I'm going to say based on the situation that we're in. So we're in school, you're listening to a video lesson, you know me fairly well, you know the type of things that I would say, and currently everything I'm saying will match your prediction. If I suddenly started swearing at you all, you'd all be like, oh, right, well, right. And your brain has to rejig what is being said, because that's not the prediction that you would expect in that situation. Similarly, if you're talking to your friends, you know your friends, you know the type of things that they say, you know how they talk. If they started talking suddenly in Shakespearean English, you'd be like, whoa, what's going on? This is not what my prediction is. So we always make predictions with language, and I think of it as it just gets your brain in the right way of thinking, and it makes it much, much easier. If I just said to you, okay, we're going to listen to some French, actually that's quite overwhelming because you're not focused in on what you would expect it to be. So this prediction stage is quite important for just starting to work out what it is that you will hear. Second step, which we'll do in a second, is going to be called the gist. And then the third thing is specific details, but we'll look at those in a second. So I'm just going to put, it's not going to fit, specific details. What I'd like you to do then is just to take a few minutes. You need to annotate onto this. We're going to do, which one can we do together? Because I'll do A, because I was planning to do A. What I want you to do is just literally do some arrows off and think, right, well, what is going on in this picture? Who is this person? Remembering what we'd said on the last activity, it's unlikely, or it's very unlikely, that they're just going to give you the name of the job. They're going to say specific things to do with where that person works, or what that person does, or what they actually work with, for you to be able to work out what they are. So if we look at A, we've got someone working in, obviously, a kitchen. So we could put la cuisine, because that's the word for kitchen. On the plate there, we've got food. Earlier on, we had la nourriture, which was food. What else? Thinking of where kitchens are. You might have it in a hotel. You might have it in a restaurant. Things like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be many notes. That's pretty much it. So we've written about what they work with. So food, la nourriture. There may be other words and phrases that you can remember. We've said they're probably going to work in a kitchen. That might be in a hotel or a restaurant. That's literally it for the notes. It doesn't have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be detailed. But you're just getting your brain in the right way of thinking that if you hear that thing being mentioned, you're like, all right, yeah, it's talking about a restaurant. So it must be the chef because it's talking about that. So a few minutes now, please, write on your sheet, annotate on as we've done here for the other 5 things. What are they doing? Where are they? What kind of things are they working with? Okay? Perfect. So we're not actually going to check answers on this. I'm going to just go, we're going to just start and go through the things ourselves. So did a little oh no there because I didn't think I could click the thing I needed to click. So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to the people talking. You're going to need your whiteboard now, please. And all I would like you to do is put these people in the correct order. If I jump back, well, I can't jump back a slide now, we'll go back. We said prediction, gist, specific details. Prediction, we've made our guesses about what we would hear. And the gist is now just testing out that prediction. It's almost a bit like a scientific experiment. Is what I expect to be right? If you get the gist of something, you just get a general understanding of it. You're not listening for anything specific. You just go, yeah, it's what I thought it would be. And that's what this activity is about now. So you need your whiteboard. Take a second to get ready with that. And all you're going to do is you're going to put the letters in the correct order that we hear them in. Okay, so if your teacher pauses for a moment just to get ready, we can start. Excellent, so you will hear everything twice. I'll play everything through once, and then I'll play everything through again.
Unit 12. Jobs, career choices and ambitions. 12.1 G. L'avenir. Activité 2A et 2B.
Okay,
J'adore préparer la nourriture. J'aimerais travailler dans un grand hôtel de luxe.
2. Je me passionne pour l'informatique. Je m'intéresse à la conception des sites pour le web. 3.
J'aime rencontrer des gens. Pour moi, l'avantage de travailler dans un salon, c'est qu'on peut développer des amitiés avec les clients. C'est aussi un travail créatif.
4. J'ai envie d'aider les gens. Je rêve de soigner les malades et peut-être de faire du travail humanitaire à l'étranger. 5.
J'apprécie le contact avec le public. Ce que j'aimerais faire, c'est aider les clients quand ils font des achats. Le commerce est un domaine qui est important pour l'économie.
6. Je me passionne pour les animaux. Ça m'intéresserait de pouvoir les aider. C'est mon rêve et je travaillerai très dur pour réussir. Mais je sais qu'il y a très peu de place. Quel dommage.
Fantastic, right. So, I've just thought actually for your teacher, we're going to reuse that piece of audio quite a few times, and it'll probably be a little bit quicker if you just use that section that we've done. So I think it's probably from about 2 minutes or so. I'll write it down so that you know when, and whenever we need to go back to it, you can just rewind to that section of the video and repeat it again, rather than me play the audio like 6 or 7 times. So for that then, we've heard it through once, have a quick look at your answers, and if your teacher now can go back and just replay the recording again, you can check your answers against that, okay? So we were looking for the following sequence, which I will squeeze along the top here. So the first one was A, followed by C. It's actually going to spell ACE. So A, C, E. Then we had F, D, and B. Okay, so that was the sequence that we should have had. Just tick that off, and very, very well done.
Unit 12. Unit 12. Jobs, career choices, and ambitions.
Next activity. Sorry about that, everyone. I hate that woman's voice, honestly. It's the same woman who does the exam, and it's just like, ugh. Right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to listen again, and listen through again, so your teacher rewind back to the section, and I want you to write now just the detail of what this person actually wants to do. So again, we're still just on whiteboards. You can just really write one, and then what the answer is. Don't write out the sentences, there's no point in that. Okay, so take a moment to get ready, wipe your whiteboards off, and your teacher will play the audio again from a couple of minutes back. Excellent, so we're going to check answers. Number one, this person wants to work in a luxury hotel. Number two, this person wants to design websites. She says les sites pour le web. No one really says le web anymore. This person wants to have a creative job. I can't write creative. There we go, my pen wouldn't work. Okay, this person is interested in working. Did you pick this one up? It was abroad. French people say abroad because they can't pronounce it. This person wants to help the... What did anybody get this? This person wants to help the economy. And then the last one, this person is determined to work with animals. So just check that that's what you've got. Really, really nice job. Should have said actually at this point, now we're listening for specific details. So only when you've made an accurate prediction and you've generally understood the gist, can you then look to try and pick out specific things. And that's what we're doing here. Okay? So check those against what you've got and we'll move on to the next thing. Excellent. So your teacher should have this for you. They've handed out. It can get stuck in your book at the front with the other pieces of work. What we're going to do now, this is the transcript, but as you can see, I've blanked out some of the words. And all I want you to do is listen. Again, listen a couple of times. I'll ask your teacher to play it twice. And you're going to try, if you can, to write in the French words on the top. Yeah? Okay? So what I would suggest now is if we pause, take a moment just to read through really, 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 really quickly. Have a look and then see if you can find the answers. See if you can work the answers out. Okay? So for speed on this, I've asked your teacher. Your teacher's got a copy of this with the blanks taken out. They can just hand out quickly and give you, and you can just fill them in and check them against what you've got. Okay? I should have said this is the hardest thing that I can ask you to do. It's really, 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 really tough. So very, very well done. But it's very, very hard. Brilliant. Next little task then, we're still going to use the recording, so your teacher yet again will have to rewind back to the original section with the recording. What I've done here is I've just picked out some of the key words really that I want you to try and listen for. So this is about isolating the words within a longer blurb of speech, because as we've said with the reading work that we did last week, you don't necessarily need to understand every single word to be able to get the correct answer. Okay? So all I would like you to do now is you've got this as a little tiny handout. When you hear that word, I just want you to tick it off. That's it. That is honestly it. You hear it, you're just going to tick it. Okay? They're all jumbled up, so they're not in the same order. But if you think you hear that thing, just tick it off. Okay? So if your teacher can pause, rewind all the way back to where the audio is, listen once, take another little pause, listen twice, and then we'll move on. Wonderful. So, this is the last little activity on this then. You've done incredibly well with this listening. Listening is always really, really difficult. You've got to use the transcript for this. So that is the thing from a couple of slides ago that we were writing the blocked out words on. And all I'd like you to do is write into your book, so directly onto your page, a very, very short summary of each person based on what it says in the transcript. So for example, this is number 1. He says, j'adore préparer la nourriture. J'aimerais travailler dans un grand hôtel de luxe. Now, what you're not doing is translating. We're not just translating what he says. We're going to just write in really short, simple terms what this person wants to do, where they want to work. So here, we've got loves. We could just put making food or preparing food. Loves making food, wants to work in a hotel. So it's not all of the detail, it's just the really, really most basic level things that we're going to pick out from each of the 6 people. Okay, so there's number 1 that's already been done. You can just copy that down. Can you have a go at doing the other 5 and then we're nearly finished? Wonderful. Last task then is a really quick revisit of this vocab. So on your whiteboard, okay, book's closed, everything out the way. Can you just make some notes of what you think these things are? All right, so we're going to have a couple of minutes, teacher pauses, you can do that. Brilliant, so we've got food, ICT, customers, j'apprécie, I appreciate, aider is to help, les achats, the strangest one on here, purchases, as in things you buy, make purchases. Le commerce is business. Réussir, to succeed at something in life or on an exam. Dur is hard. Quel dommage, what a shame. Des gens is people. And then un travail is a job. Okay, so check those against what you've got on your whiteboards. Very, very well done, everybody, and I will see you soon.